Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors. Promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
Wait, can you hear me now? Darn it. Okay. So, sorry about that. I think it is okay now. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys today about how I went from being incredibly thin all my life to being finally understanding why everybody was complaining about, I can't lose weight. I can't lose weight. Oh my God, it's so hard to lose weight. And I had no idea like what they were talking about. I'm like, what? Just eat one loaf of bread instead of two. Like literally, I had no idea how hard it was to lose weight because I just had a lifestyle of a skinny person when how I grew up. So I didn't know the trials and tribulations that like most people in America especially feel when it comes to gaining weight and how difficult it is for us to lose it. So I'm going to go into, I made a little, let's see, here we go. So here is my little slideshow. This is all about me and my journey from skinny and hot most of my life to finally understanding what it's like to be overweight. Let's just say it. FAT. I was FAT. I know it's a bad word. If you're triggered by that, don't watch this because this can be really triggering. If you're offended by people not wanting to be overweight, this will trigger you because I don't want to. I want to be back to super thin. And one thing that really annoys me is if I go, look, this is my healthy weight. This is what I was like when I felt good. I was like really healthy. I was energetic. I was doing all this stuff. And then people go, yeah, but you're super skinny now. So you shouldn't want that. Or, but you look fine. Or blah, 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 blah. It's like, please do not be those type of people. Those are the worst types of people. It's like, I know what I have been or what I could be. And like, I know it's in a healthy range. Yes, I'm in a healthy weight, whatever range, but I am in like towards the bigger end of it. And I would like to be towards the smaller end of it because I know the huge difference it makes to how I feel, my energy, my happiness, my every single metric just goes up. Right. So when people are telling you things like you should be happy the way you are, or you're still healthy, or that's unhealthy to be so, like they're just trying to sabotage you. That's all they are. Or they don't want you to do better because then they have to look at themselves and go, gee, I'm just letting myself get huge. I'm just like giving up. And if you don't give up, and they've given up, now you've made them more self-conscious. So they have to make sure you give up too. And that's the whole issue around like the whole weight topic. That's why it's such a polarizing topic. So if you're one of those people who are like, you should be happy, blah, 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 then this is not for you. You are not supposed to watch this. But if you are like, I have such a hard time losing weight, and I want to know how those people who are just quote unquote naturally skinny stay naturally skinny their for like their whole lives. And then you'll be looking at someone who's naturally skinny and they'll be picking out on desserts, on food or whatever, and you're just like, this isn't fair. Like, what is going on? Do they do this all the time? Is it just my metabolism? Is it my genetics? Is it me? And then you start thinking all these crazy thoughts. But I'm going to tell you what I know I did to be skinny. And At the time when I was very thin, I was not in a place mentally where I could articulate, where I could understand what somebody who wasn't skinny was doing versus what I was doing. Right? Because when you're in it, when this is your life, you're just like, this is just normal for you. Everything is normal. All of these habits that you do to remain skinny, they're just unconscious habits, right? Okay, so let's get to it. All right, my first mistake that I made that ruined my life. Really, this is very important. It's I took advice from people whose life I didn't want, and I tried to fix something that wasn't even broken. So I would meet people and they'd be like, "Oh my God, you don't do this. You need to do that. You're not going to be healthy if you don't do that." And oh my gosh, if you can't do that, that's wrong. That's wrong. And then meanwhile, I'm looking at like I just was so stupid because I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm wrong. My whole life I'm wrong. But I didn't stop to just like take a step back and go, wait a minute. They have trouble losing weight. They don't have the body I want. I currently have a body I want. They don't. And they're trying to scare me out of like a good situation. And I was just so naive, just not really, not smart. But now that I'm smarter, wiser, and very old, I can look back and go, this is where I went wrong so that you guys don't go wrong. And if you're having trouble losing weight, then maybe you can like do some of the habits that I did when I was in a good place. Yes, nattokinase is very good for, I think it's like breaking down certain, I forgot what it was. Gosh, I remember it was good for something, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look into that, but I give it to my kid. There's like something called natto. It's like a sticky, whatever, fermented paste. It smells awful, but she loves it because it's Asian and really into Asian stuff. Anyways, so sabotage can come from people who have really good intentions. And this is really sad too, because sometimes people, they have false beliefs. They were lied to by people they trusted. They honestly want what's best for you. And they're just like giving you advice, trying to help you, but like you are right and they're wrong. And maybe like science will catch up in 30, 40 years, 50, 60 years to what you just intuitively were doing. And also what works for somebody else won't work for you, because we have to test things out on our individual selves, especially like with different genders. This is a big one. If a guy can get away with doing XYZ, that doesn't mean a girl can. We are completely different. We're like practically a different species at this point. The more I learn about health things, the more I realize that men and women, they should have completely separate doctors, completely separate supplements. Everything should be separate. They are not the same. They're not even freaking close. Just because they can get together and make babies does not mean that we're like really that much similar. So no matter how well intentioned someone is, it's important to test it on yourself, see if the advice applies to you, and do not feel like fall victim to someone who has really good intentions but really bad advice for you. And then going back to before, if you do not need to change something, please don't listen to someone who's telling you to change it. If things are amazing for you, don't listen to someone who's telling you you need to make it better. Like be happy and block them. Anyways. Okay. So some bad advice that did not work for me that I credit with like when things started getting out of control. The first one was, this was again, really great advice from someone who really cared about me. My dear, beautiful husband. He grew up eating tons of vegetables, which was great for him, his body, everything was fine with him. But he kept giving me vegetables and I would just get bloated and just more bloated. And then he's like, you just need to eat more. thinking back about it, it's ridiculous. You just need to eat more vegetables, and the bloating will go away. It's just you're building up the bacteria you need to process it, and blah blah blah. So I'm like, I'm eating these vegetables, I'm getting more bloated, and then I started gaining water weight. I started gaining other weight, and then 20 years later, I found out that the primary vegetable he was giving me, which was peas, is highly estrogenic and completely was one of the main causes of my hormones going crazy. It's like basically like fisting soy and birth control pills. It's not good for you, not at all. And also, like my family lineage, we do not have a lot of vegetables. The Persian culture doesn't have a lot of vegetables. The Cuban culture doesn't have a lot of, I think we use like maybe 4 or 5 peas on top of the meat for garnish, like in Cuban culture. Like literally, we don't have, what is a vegetable? A garnish of a few carrots and a garnish of a few peas. Like that's it. It's literally decoration for color on the plate, but we don't really eat that shit. We are meat and rice and banana type people. That's it. Beans, beans, rice, bananas, whatever. That's what we eat. And then the Persian side, it is stews, it is lamb, whatever meats. And we will have, what else? Oh, herbs, fresh herbs. Literally, Persians will have a big mountain of fresh cut herbs from the garden, like right that day, like right before you eat them, when they still have their nutrients, because, after a while, they go away. Pile of herbs, we'll put it in our mouth, chew that, swallow that, and then have a bite of the stew, a bite of the meat, a bite of whatever. And again, the culture is meat and rice. There's really no vegetables. Occasionally, they might have okra, which is like disgusting, but it's good to coat your gut. If you need to like heal a gut, heal reflux, stuff like that. Okra is really good. Like slimy, so it'll coat and soothe any gut inflammation you have. Anyways, so another great tip that I heard was you have to have breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. And I went through my whole life trying to sleep as much as my goal in life was literally like sleep, and only wake up the last minute before you had to go to work or school or whatever. So if I could get an extra 45 minutes of sleep, I'm taking the sleep. I'm not eating. And then I wake up and then get dressed and run out the door. And I don't even think about food until like maybe lunchtime or even later than that. Like I never had breakfast growing up, and I was thin and I was fine and I was healthy. Everything was great. So sometimes again, people want the best for you and they're like, oh, it's the most important meal. Blah, 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 blah. If it's working for you, don't do. And they say, okay, look, there's different professionals, and you know how like they always go, this is the medical advice, this is the newest medical advice, blah blah blah, and then 20 years later it's wrong. So whenever someone gives you studies or everything is with a grain of salt, because you just never know. So anyways, the breakfast thing, I was fine. I didn't eat. They say, oh, if you're not hungry in the morning, it's because you have high cortisol. Okay, whatever. Like, I mean, I didn't have the signs and symptoms of cortisol. I do freaking now, but at the time I didn't, because I wasn't stressed. I was sleeping. I was sleeping a lot. I was very happy sleeping. Anyways, moving on. Somebody told me, oh, have a lot of cheese because it's high in protein. Cheese is protein. I just remember people like smearing cheese on everything. And I'm like, I get a little bloated when I eat cheese. Or I start to gain weight if I have like sour cream or any sort of like cheeses, whatever. Like I'm not like a cheese person. So I didn't have, I'm not saying I don't like cheese. I'm just saying I didn't eat cheese. It wasn't something that I would go for, right? Maybe I had nachos when I went to the movies once a month or something like that, but I didn't go specifically and buy cheese. It wasn't something I bought. I didn't buy cream cheese. I didn't buy any cheese. No cheese. And I realized it's protein, but not everybody reacts well to it, and I didn't. So next one was, you have to eat at least 3 meals a day. Really? I didn't. I never had breakfast, and I occasionally didn't have lunch. And sometimes I would just eat 1 meal a day. You guys, 1 meal a day. And I was like literally the healthiest person in my dentist office, in my all of my doctor's appointments, every type of doctor, every time I would go, they're like, wow, if everybody could do whatever you're doing. Literally, they were telling me this my whole life. And I still said, you know what, maybe I should force myself to have 3 meals a day, because everybody who has trouble losing weight is having 3 meals a day. What? Okay. Then when you go back into history, you'll find out that breakfast became important because you could not stop the assembly line to like have lunch sometimes. So they would give everybody a big breakfast because they might not be able to eat until after 8, 9, 10-hour, 12-hour shifts, right? You didn't always have lunch. Lunch, I think, came later on with the whole factory crap. So breakfast was made up because of a necessity of you're not going to eat all day. You're going to be doing labor, like hard labor. Of course, if you're about to do hard labor, you want to fill up on food, and that's very important. Yes, for that situation. And then the other thing about like the foods for breakfast in other cultures, it would be like maybe one egg, right? You eat one fried egg or one cooked egg, and that's it. Or you have a little teeny bowl of soup and like maybe an egg or like a tiny piece of fish, and that's it, right? It was a small, tiny meal. They made it big because of marketing for like the bacon industry, the freaking, the traditional American breakfast. It was like the orange industry wanted us to drink orange juice. The pork industry wanted us to have bacon. The pancake industry, like, whatever they wanted us to eat. So they're just like, it's all freaking marketing. And we fell into that. We need to have breakfast garbage. And then the other one was eat even if you're not hungry because you're going to lose all your muscle. Lose all your muscle. What are they even talking about? No. Let me tell you, I hardly ate. I mean, I did eat, but I hardly ate like big quantities. The other thing is like there's this thing for your body weight, you need to have X amount of protein, right? I was just thinking about that because I was trying to force myself to have all this protein because I'm like, well, they say you need all this protein, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized when I was thin, I would eat protein maybe twice, 2 to 3 times a week. I would have like a steak. Usually on weekends, I would get a filet mignon, or I would get like a skirt steak, which is like churrasco, the Cuban style steak, right? It's a little hard and fatty, so they kind of like pound it and like whatever. That's what I would eat. Maybe 2-3 times a week. I was not having meat every day. I would have maybe like some chicken, like a chicken breast or whatever, and I wouldn't eat the whole breast. I'd eat half a chicken breast a day maybe. And then I would just have, look, we'll get into what I did. But let's keep going here. So, be vegan. Be vegan ruined my life. That was because you have a honeymoon period when you turn vegan because you're eating like vegetables and stuff like that. And you're psyching yourself up. You're like, oh my God, you feel so great about yourself. You're like, I'm healthy. I'm a wonderful person now because I'm eating vegan. And then you slowly start like losing your hair, your skin gets all crappy, everything starts falling apart. But you still do it because you're like, it can't be the diet, it has to be something else. No, it's a diet. You've drained all your minerals and now you are depleted in everything. And now you have to like rebuild all, your everything that you depleted because vegan stuff, vegetables, fruits, whatever, it's not always bioavailable. Our food is not nutrient dense anymore. There was a time where you could go to the grocery store, get fruits and vegetables, and you could get nutrients from it. The food had more nutrients. But that time was long gone by the time I was born, even then. So unless I was growing the fruits and the vegetables in my yard with good soil and everything, it would not have worked out for me. So you have to think about these things. Vegan, horrible. The other one was cold smoothies, having smoothies. Remember when like Jamba Juice and all those smoothie bowls became a thing? So I tried that and I'm like psyching myself out. You're so healthy. Oh my God. No, I was killing myself because cold food is so detrimental to the body. It destroys your ability to produce stomach acid so you can digest and take nutrients. So you are stopping your body from taking nutrients, and then you are giving yourself a huge sugar rush with like hardly any fiber. It is a complete disaster. And again, you'll have a honeymoon period where you're getting something new, you taste something new, you psych yourself out like this is healthy, and eventually you have problems, and then you have sugar problem because now you're eating a lot of sweet stuff, let's be honest, and this is changing your palate and changing the bacteria, the microbiome in your gut. So you're craving a lot of bad things, you're feeding a lot of yeast, a lot of candida, a lot of bad bacteria, you're feeding, and they become stronger, and they are the ones who control your mind and your body. They will program you to go seek out more sugar for them, to feed them. So be careful. The next is drinking lots of water, right? So there are literally models in the 90s that used to say, have 2 gallons of water a day and it'll clear your skin. No, you need to be sweating. Yes, that's a detox, but the drinking water, it'll dilute your minerals and it'll put your mineral balance out of whack. So you need to be having things that have like a good mineral balance and that are hydrating to the body, so that the water doesn't just go through you, but instead it goes into the cells to hydrate the cells and energize your body. So in order for that to happen, you need stuff like coconut water. That's really good. You can put a little bit of sea salt in your mouth, wait a few minutes, like let it get in through your, what's it called, your mucous membranes, it'll dissolve a little bit, and then you can drink a little bit of water. But you do not want to have gulps of water, because also you should never, ever, ever drink water near and around digestion. So if you're about to go and eat, please do not have gulps of water, especially cold water will destroy your life. In all countries, except for America and some Western nations, they do not have cold water. Ice water is very American. Americans, you can tell what they are because they always have a bottle of water with them wherever they go in the world. And it's like, it screams American tourist. It screams, and there's a reason why we are just like so bloated all the time. Because if you are drinking lots of cold water, you are completely destroying your digestion. So when you do eat, you've got no stomach acid. So it's going to ferment, you get bloated, and then it's going to make you overweight, and because your body's having to like do emergency, how do we get this out? What do we put? Let's shove it in some fat cells. Let's shove it in this organ. Let's, like, they're trying to deal with something without stomach acid. It's a very dangerous situation, but our culture is so messed up that we've lost, like, literally how to be alive. We've lost these life skills. So I remember when I went on like the Chinese app, they were telling the girls and everybody, like, well, you guys have so much period pains. Why are you having ice? Why are you having cold foods? Why aren't you having teas and warm liquids and warm soups all the time? You need to warm your body so that you can digest better. And literally all the women in the US are like, what? This whole time? Yes, we forgot how to be human. I know in my dad's culture, everything is like hot tea. You have a little bit of hot tea after you eat, and that helps digest. And they'll put different herbs and spices in the hot tea that also help you digest. And you can just go on ChatGPT. What teas can I use? What herbs and spices can I put in my teas to help me digest after I eat? Things like fennel, whatever. You just put those things. Gatorade used to be good, but they completely changed the formula. So now it's complete garbage. So do not have it. But you can look up, you just need electrolytes. So what's a good electrolyte? Here we go. So this is a good brand. Is this backwards or I don't know. Anyways, it's called Body Bio E-Light, concentrate of pure electrolytes. And this will hydrate you and give you energy. It has sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And that's it. No, like they'll put citric acid, which is a derivative of mold. It's made from mold, one of the most toxic molds. And they put it in everything. It's not just that. Like every drink you get, it's going to have citric acid. Every spice you have, it's everywhere. It's really sad. But anyways, this doesn't have it. You can find it on my dispensary, link in the description if you're interested. And if you want a discount code, what you have to do is you have to sign up with your email, blah, 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 and then tell me, what email and stuff like that you signed up for, and I can give you a discount code for your account. Okay. And you can message me on the Discord and also join the Discord, link in the description. All right. So the other one is don't fast. Don't fast. My whole life was fasting when I was thin and healthy because I was a busy person. I prioritized sleep. That's it. Sleep. Sleep was my number one priority. So I would sleep in and then get up and go to work or to school or whatever. And then I would eat maybe after like 1 or 2 classes in college or school, whatever, or at lunchtime when I was in high school and elementary school, all that stuff. I wouldn't have breakfast. So I'd have, something for lunch, whatever. And then I would not have anything until I got home. And when I was older, with traffic and everything, I did not eat until 8 p.m., which they always say, make sure you finish eating early. Like I was never in the position to be home at a reasonable time. But what I did was as soon as I got home, I ate. And then as soon as I finished eating, I went to sleep because sleep was my priority. Now, a lot of people go, well, I can't do that. I need to watch TV. I need to do this. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't do that during the week. You have to understand, I did not watch TV. I didn't do anything, right? During the week, if I had to do homework, I would do homework and I would just like immediately go back and go to sleep. I spent most of my time sleeping. And then during the daytime, I would try to do like, whatever I needed to and finish it so I could go to bed as soon as possible. It is what it is. It'd be nice if we can have like a set dinner and whatever time that's reasonable, but not everybody can. But since I wasn't having breakfast, I had a big fast from, let's say I went to bed at 8:30. Yes. Oh, that's the other thing. I went to bed at 8:30. That was when I was working and when I was in school. If I was on summer break, I would stay up all night, sometimes until 2, 3 in the morning. Yes, but then I would sleep until 2 p.m. the next day because I didn't have to be anywhere. So I was still sleeping a lot and I was still not eating more because what's really interesting? You can't binge if you're asleep. Also, well, I'll get into more of what I ate and didn't eat later. Okay, so we talked about, cold plunges. Not for women, guys, not for women. I'm sorry. No, you do not want that. You do not want to stress your body with cold. Cold will ruin your digestion. It will ruin your womb, your ability to like make blood and stuff like that, so that you'll have horrible periods. You'll be in pain. You'll be a miserable person to everyone around you. Women should never do a cold plunge. Men, it might be a little different, but women, never, ever, ever, ever. The next one is some bad advice. That this was bad for me, was meal prep. Why it was bad for me is I have histamine intolerance, so I cannot have leftovers. So it took me decades to realize that if I ate something and then I saved the leftovers for later, I would get a migraine when I ate the leftovers because of the histamines. They build up when you put stuff in the refrigerator. If I had flash frozen it would have been fine, but refrigeration still raises the histamines. So I couldn't do that. The other thing was things like kombucha gave me histamine issues and migraines, things like fermented anything. Well, if you do not have histamine issues, that would have been healthy. But if you do have histamine issues, it will make you fat, bloated, sick, miserable, migraines, chronic pain. So again, everything is individual. The next thing is fake milk alternatives. This is the biggest crime in the world. Never touch it. And Oats are super toxic. So I think oat milk was like the first one that became kind of popular. Oats are super toxic, you guys. Even if they're organic, you're not supposed it was called gruel. It was peasant food. It is cheap junk. Do not touch that. It depletes minerals from your body. It has no health benefits. I'm sorry. Whoever lied and said Quaker oats, whatever, it's super healthy, it's criminal. Moving on. Salads. No. Salads are terrible. Not just because of the salad dressing, but because you need to have such a strong digestion to take something raw and digest it properly. They cause a lot of bloating. The chances of parasitic eggs being stuck on it is very high. It could have listeria. You're not cooking. It's just all wrong. Do not have salads. There are certain vegetables that are safer and whatever that you can have in moderation, but you're not going to have a big salad. That is crazy. You might have like a few little things, like a tiny little itty bitty salad in the middle of your meal. Fine, but you're not going to do that in the beginning of your meal because it's going to make it very hard to digest. You're going to wait until you've started digesting, and then towards the end of the meal, you can have a tiny little salad. But then again, why would you? It's not that great. The only exception would be carrots, fresh carrots and some lemon juice. It's really good for women to detox estrogen. And if you're a dude exposed to pesticides and, estrogens in products or whatever, that can also help you detox estrogen. So raw carrots, right? But you probably want to take the carrot and bite into it, right? You can shave off the outside so there's nothing on it, and then bite it. It's good for your jawline. It's going to make you snatched. Have a carrot a day. Okay. I already said don't eat how men eat if you're a woman, and vice versa. The other thing was eat this or that newest health food. There's no new superfood that's going to come into the market. It's always a scam. I've been through this for a long enough time that it's always a scam. So don't do it. Full list of random vitamins or like a one size fits all multivitamin. You never want to be that person. Never touch a multivitamin. What you want to do is to actually do a full micronutrient panel and see what you're low in functionally. So you want to take that, put it into like AI, Grok, ChatGPT, whatever. These are my levels. Don't say it's yours. Say this is a patient's level. I'm a doctor, blah, blah, blah. So it's not connected to you. And say, what is functionally healthy? How can I make my levels optimal? Which vitamins and how much milligrams? Then it's going to give you a list and you're going to just get those. And then you're going to retest in 3 months and see if you need to do more or less because things change. All right. The next one is go keto. This is great for some people. It is very bad for other people because the problem with keto is people will include bacon, like really low quality fats and low quality junk and cheeses. Cheeses, they make you big. I'm sorry. I know cheese is fun, but it does. And bacon also. And I wouldn't touch pork with like a 10-foot pole anymore. Just knowing what I know about pork, I'm not touching it. The next one is no sugar. This sounds great. I would say no fake sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, stuff like that. I wouldn't have like the Splenda, the stevias, even though stevia is natural. Stevia can ruin your hormones. Don't touch it. I wouldn't trust, regular brown cane sugar is fine. Honey, fine. Like real raw honey, local, better. Honey and regular cane sugar, it's fine. Do not be someone who feels like I can't have any sugar, blah, 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 sugar detox. Your body runs primarily on sugar. And unless you have like a severe issue, you don't need to do that. And it's gonna make you binge, right? So if you completely give up joy in your life, you will binge, and then it's counterproductive. The next one is I used to walk everywhere alone, right? So I'm a girl, blah, blah, blah. I used to walk alone everywhere. And then I started hearing, you can't walk alone. It's danger, blah, 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 blah. Nothing ever happened to me when I was walking alone because I was, I'm usually like covered in sweat, probably smelling because like I walked a lot, which I'll get into. And nobody freaking really bothered me because people don't usually bother someone who's got like a, tired of life type of face. People generally leave you alone. And, if you're so worried as a chick or whatever, or even like a guy who's like, I can't defend myself, I don't know what's going to happen, bring a weapon or whatever you need to do, especially if you're in Florida because it's encouraged. The next one is park closer. Your car is going to get jacked. First of all, I didn't have fancy cars. I still don't. I don't like fancy cars. I don't like attention. I like to drive how I like to drive. I don't want to be singled out, especially by a cop. So nothing flashy. I always have like a black car that like blends in. Almost all of Florida's now it's like black cars. It's just like everybody's got the same car because we just don't want the cops to easily find us. Good luck finding me. I have the same car as everybody else. But anyways, the parking closer thing, I get it, and blah, 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 blah. But when you park far, you have to walk, right? Walking is great. Now you're going to be smart. You're going to look in your back seat, make sure nobody's hiding, especially if you're a girl, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to go in. And again, be strapped everywhere. You should do that anyways. All right, the next one is wear heels because you're a girl. Okay, first of all, I hate heels. I will wear them occasionally, like if I don't want to hem a dress or something, and it's a rare occasion I'm wearing a dress. But for the most part, I do not wear heels. I wear running shoes. I wear sneakers everywhere. My whole life I've worn sneakers. I remember I was hanging out with these models that I knew once. Male models, female models, right? And they're all like obviously gorgeous, blah, 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 blah. And there was a guy that he was straight. Just going to say that. He was a straight guy, male model. And then he's going around to all the girls, complimenting them on their purses and their shoes and blah, blah, blah. And of course, he gets to me. He sees no name brand sneakers, no name brand purse. And he's like, ugh, bleh, whatever. But you know what? I could walk and run for long periods of time without any pain. These girls can walk 5 inches without having to take their shoes off and then walking on the disgusting floor. So I feel like I win. Anyways, the next one is chickpeas and hummus. This is something personal that happened to me was I did not have chickpeas and hummus in my culture. It's not a Persian thing. Cubans, they sometimes have chickpeas occasionally, but it's not like that much. Then I got introduced to hummus. Everybody's like, this is healthy. Gosh, it's not. I found out later that, again, another thing that's highly estrogenic, really bad for women, really bad for men. You should not touch this. It ruins your hormones. The next one was potatoes. If they're organic potatoes, it's fine. Potatoes don't have any vitamins and minerals anymore, and now they're filled with heavy metals because our soils are all messed up and they're all hybridized and they're all messed up. So do not touch potatoes. The chances, okay, the other thing is a lot of people store potatoes in refrigerators, which make them have like an invisible mold that's highly toxic, and you can get really sick. You don't even know what it's coming from. It can poison you. Like potatoes, I don't like them. I just stay away from them. Sweet potatoes are okay, but again, you really want to know like where they come from, how have they been stored. People don't know how to store things, especially going to somebody's house. You don't know what's going on. And sometimes people will cook a green potato not knowing that it's like dangerous. It's just how it is. People don't know how to live. All right, here's the brutal reality of my results. Skinny, huge. This was me when I was my biggest, right? Swollen, miserable. Everything was off. Big mess. Don't listen to people. All right, These are AI photos of me because I'm just like trying to show you. Whatever. Other things that were really horrible that you should never do. HIIT, high intensity. Wait, did I spell it right? High intensity interval training. It's supposed to be HIIT, I think. Whatever, HIIT. High intensity interval training. You know what I'm talking about. So when I started getting big and swollen, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm asking people for advice and they're telling me, the traditional things that they tell people that never worked, which is why like it never worked for anybody who did these things. So high intensity interval training raises your cortisol sky high and it gives you like 50 different health problems. Please don't do that. Lower calories. It kind of can work, but it's one of those where like if you're under stress and you lower your calories, you lower your metabolism too. So then you're still maintaining the same swollen fatness that you had when you lower your calories. The next one is plant-based again. Don't go vegan. Exercise even more, different types of exercises. Do it more times a week. Do 4 hours here, 2 hours there, like just exercise. None of that works. More stress, less sleep. So it's like they would tell me, oh, instead of going to sleep, have an extra hour exercising. Do more exercise. Exercise some more. No. Never exercise over sleep. Always sleep over exercise. If you want to lose weight, you need to sleep 14 hours, especially if you're a woman. Okay, how I started to fix things, right? So obviously I'm not as big and swollen and bloated as when I was at my highest bloated, swollen face. How did I do that? Well, sleep. And since I ruined my cortisol and my stress hormones, I need to take tons of magnesium. All the different types of magnesiums, magnesium 3 and 8, magnesium malate for like stress and pain and stuff like that. I think it's malate, 3 and 8, glycinate. Those are the 3 magnesiums, high amounts of magnesiums. I still do it every day. You got to do it. It will also, over time, if you do high magnesium, you won't stink when you sweat anymore. If you smell bad when you sweat, you're highly toxic and you need to figure out what's wrong with your health immediately. I stopped doing HIIT training. I spelled it wrong again, whatever. And I started doing walking and relaxing hobbies. So if you're really stressed out, you're not going to lose weight. So you need to do things that relax you, because relaxation and chilling and not worrying about stuff is going to help your body come out of fight or flight so that it can finally process your food. You can digest again, and then you can let go of some of your weight, because it's not like getting ready for a war where you need to be padded with fat in case you're stabbed, or like if you have to go through a famine, right? So if you're doing fun little hobbies and you're just chilling and you're sleeping a lot, then your body's like, okay, I think we're out of the woods. Now we can release this excess stuff and then focus on digestion again. So now I walk every day, right? Sorry, like 45 minutes to an hour of walking every day. And I do weights, not heavy weights, but I just do weights until failure. And that is 3 times a week for only 15 minutes, like weights until failure, small weights, and body weight exercises 3 times a week for 15 minutes. That's it, right? No more HIIT, no more, I got to get like the biggest weights ever and try to lift, or no more, what's the like deadlifting, everybody, none of that man stuff. If you're a dude, do that. But if you're a chick, don't. Okay, the next one is lymphatic drainage. When you get swollen and blah, 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 you're going to need to do a lot of massages. Massage your face, dry brushing, jumping, rebounding. You can spend about 20 minutes a day just jumping up and down if you can't, but you spread it out throughout the whole day. So one thing I do is maybe like, I don't know, 4 minutes of jumping in the morning, maybe 4 minutes after breakfast, jumping, like, whatever. Just spread it out. Try to get like 15 minutes all day of jumping. I know it sounds like it's very minor, but jumping does 2 important things. First, it is causing damage, right? It reverberates throughout your bones and it will break down and then build stronger bones. When you're jumping, you're building stronger bones. We'll talk about bones another time. This is the bone test, right? If you're whatever. Interesting. So this one, I can overlap my wrist, right? My fingers over my wrist. That's bad. That means you have small bones. So you need to build better bones. If you can just touch it, you're pretty average, right? And if it's even hard for your fingers to touch, you have really good, strong bones. You need that. That's good. But we can build bones for the rest of our lives if we jump. The higher up, the better. Jump. It hurts. Yes, I know. It's gonna hurt. Yeah. Sometimes like my weak little bones in my ankles hurt when I jump. If I haven't jumped for a long time, you gotta keep doing it. I know it's terrible. Jump. That's gonna help your lymphatic system and your bones, because the number one way that people die is they have a fall when they're older and their bones are fragile and now they can't move anymore. They lose all their muscle and then they're dead, right? So we want to keep our bones strong. And yes, sauna is amazing. I put that I do sauna 3 times a week. I actually do it way more than that. The minimum you want is 3 times a week for 20 minutes. I've been doing 4 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes to an hour. So some days an hour, some days 30 minutes. And I love that. And then afterwards, I hose myself down to get all the sweat with all the toxins away and down the drain immediately so it doesn't get reabsorbed. And then I get in the tub with the Epsom salts for 20 minutes at least, hot as I can, right? And that is amazing for like detox and relaxation. We're lowering our cortisol. We're getting out of fight or flight. We're digesting, right? All right. And then a simple high protein breakfast, no lunch. This is what I'm doing now. And a high protein, but still pretty small dinner, right? Okay. More stuff. I am taking tailored supplements to fix my stress, adrenal fatigue, my weak gallbladder, weak liver, to detox estrogen, to detox the mold exposure I had, to reduce my histamines, reduce inflammation, all of these things. And I used my labs and my symptoms, any medication that I previously was on that I felt gave me side effects, I put that in to AI, and then AI tells me and sets me a schedule on how I can eat and fix it and how long it thinks it's going to take to fix all my problems. So it's like really good. I take digestive enzymes. I take TUDCA for digesting fats. And then I take, where is it? I don't have it here. Anyways, I take another digestive enzyme that has ox bile in it for everything else that's not fats. It helps all of them digest. So this gives my gallbladder and my liver and everything, and my stomach, everything a break while it's rebuilding. Okay. The next is fresh air. That's the time where I'm outside walking. Fresh air is important. Cut out stressful and annoying people. It's important to cut out stressful and annoying people. All right. And then if people are fighting with you, just let them win. Let them win. Move on. Who cares? And then I'm continuing with what I've always done, which is make sure my clothes don't have any toxins, are not plastic, toxin free, no, what's it called? Flame retardants in my mattresses, because you spend most of your life on your mattress, no flame retardants on your pajamas, blah, blah, blah. All right. And then habits I stopped doing that I should have continued to do because they were keeping me thin. All right. Parking far always. I'm going to go back to that. I'm parking on the other side of the street. I am walking a mile to go to the grocery store with all the groceries because, right? I'm taking the stairs. I had an experience once where I was in a tall building that had a movie theater in it, and I took the stairs, and then into like the parking garage was under whatever. Anyways, I'm in the stairs. All of the staircases are like locked, right? And then I go down and there's like a creepy homeless guy who's living on the bottom staircase, the bottom level. And that's the only stair that takes me out of the building. So I had to like kind of like go around, and that was dangerous. I'm by myself. There's no way. My phone doesn't work. It's like, because it's like a deep underground. It was not the safest. But whenever I see a stairs that's safe, I'm taking it. Maybe not that type. I always go up the staircases now 2 steps at a time. So I make big steps, and this helps your legs get stronger. When I was thin, I always thought elevators and escalators are for handicapped people only. Even if I'm at the airport and I have luggage, I would go up the regular stairs, right? That nobody was on there anyways. I would go up the regular stairs holding all my bags. I would struggle. I would be in pain. This is just how I live my life, because I'm just like, I'm not crippled. Why would I do that? Why would I go on an escalator? Why would I go on an elevator? The next thing that I would do when I was very thin, that I'm going to start doing again, is whenever I got mad at someone, I was sad, PMSing, or I just wanted to think about something, instead of doing it at home, in bed, on the TV, and whatever, I would get up, I would put on maybe like, I had a Walkman, it was old times, Walkman, whatever, put on my inline skates, or just start walking for miles. And for like hours, I would just walk around in circles while I'm thinking, just walking and thinking. So instead of being mad, depressed, angry, sad, cranky, whatever, at home doing nothing, get up, put your shoes on, go outside, and keep walking until you figure it out in your head. And then you feel good about what you're going to do next. And then you can come back. The next thing that I would do was, I never sat for more than like an hour per day. I was always, even when I had a desk job, I would put like a bunch of big textbooks and put like everything up on it, my monitor and my keyboard. And I would stand, before we had like the raised desks and stuff. I would just stand and type all the time. I would do that. And then I would constantly be bothering people in their offices, because, the next thing that I would do was, whenever I went to a restaurant, they would give me a portion. I would get like maybe a third or whatever of that, and I would eat that, and the rest I would put in a to-go box, right? Always. Didn't matter how big or small. I would just cut it up, and that's all I would eat, and it was fine. The next one is, again, park far away. I would always park far away. B, have a weapon on you if you're afraid. Look before you go into a car. Look in the back seat. Look around. Always look around. Anyways. Okay. The other thing is cleaning and organizing all the time. If I have 20, 30, 40 minutes, instead of sitting around and being lazy, watching TV, watching something on YouTube, doing something that doesn't really matter, I would get up and start cleaning and organizing stuff, like up on top of the shelves, everything, moving stuff. This is exercise. This is really good. Next one, carry heavy bags everywhere. I stopped carrying a bag because I started having shoulder pains, but I feel like that is calmed down a little bit, that I bought myself a weighted vest, right? So now when I'm going to go on my walks, I put the weighted vest on. So I'm carrying something, and you can like burn more and stuff faster. And it makes you stronger overall. I will tell a story one day about how I almost died and how carrying heavy things saved my life, but I'll explain it later. Anyways, not having a car was a big superpower for me to remain so thin, right? Not having a car in a place where you have to have a car because we don't have like real public transportation, that's like a huge thing. I had to walk places where you should not have to walk. I had to walk to grocery stores that were like 30, 40 I don't know, blocks away and then carry everything here. So not having a car is a superpower. The people, the more conveniences we have, the sicker we are, right? It's just what it is. So I didn't have any conveniences. I didn't have, resources. I didn't have money. I lived in a place where I needed a car. Like there was nobody but me who didn't have a car. And what I would do is, oh well, I can't afford a car. I'm the only person. But guess what? This is my life. What am I going to do? I had a big, huge book bag. I would go to the grocery store. I'd put it in there, be drenched in sweat, stank. Like it was like a mess. But I was toned. I had abs. Everything was great. Not having a car, if you actually stop complaining about your life and you get out there and you do what you have to do. Sometimes you have to make 3 trips to the grocery store because you need some stuff. It's too heavy for one trip. And you do what you got to do, right? It's not great. I spent so much time walking on the side of a road and walking across, I think, 16 lanes of traffic to get to school. Like there was one that I had to cross. There was no sidewalk. There was no crosswalk. It's just like, good luck. Nobody walked there. Anyways, the next one was I climbed trees and I jumped fences my whole life, even when I was in my 20s and 30s. I did these things. Now, yeah, I would get scraped and cut and bruises and whatever. Who cares? It's all a part of the fun. But because I was walking so much, sometimes I'd be like the shortest distance between 2 places is a straight line, and there's a big fence here. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to figure out how to jump that fence. All right, the next one. Oh, in college and high school, I would spend lunch where the outdoor exercise equipment was. So like if they had monkey bars or something like that, I would spend my lunch there and eat really quick. And then I'd try to do pull-ups by myself. It's a weird thing to do. I would also force my friends to come with me to do the pull-ups. And they're just like, why are we doing this? This is weird. Can we just sit and talk? But I would be like, no, we're going to do this. And for some reason, they would go with me. They didn't want to be there, but I was very persuasive. And I would force my friends to sit around and do pull-up competitions, knowing that I would always win because it is what it is. Can I do pull-ups now? Probably not. No. It's been a while. Anyways, I would also nap a lot. So I remember between classes, I would go to the library and I would take a nap. So if I had like an hour and a half break between, instead of like sitting there, some people would just go and they would get snacks, right? They would get snacks and eat themselves because they were bored. And I would just go, that's it. I'm taking a nap. I would make my book bag and my books into like a pillow. It was a hard ass pillow, and I would sleep. That's what I did. Anytime I had a chance, I was asleep. Next, I would sleep like 14 hours a night. You cannot eat when you're sleeping. When you sleep, you detox like nothing. The longer you sleep, the more you detox. I was so healthy, I feel, in my mind because of the amount of sleep that I was getting. And all the studies have shown that the 8 hours, that was the bare minimum. Remember, they're trying to squeeze the life out of you so that you can work every second. And 8 hours was the minimum amount that you could work and still function so that you can work in factories. And that's for men. Doesn't apply to women, especially if you have menstruations and stuff like that. So you need to sleep if you want to live, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be snatched, if you want to detox, if you want to not have the C words and stuff like that. And early demises. Sleep a long time. 14 hours. If you can, do it. If you can only nap, do that. The next one was I ignored hunger because I was too busy. You guys ever been so busy that you've passed dinner? Like, do that all the time. Like, and I passed dinner. Well, it's too late to eat now. I guess I'll just go to bed hungry. Do that. It's fine. All right. Other things that I did when I was skinny. I never ever ate sweets. I know I said don't deprive yourself of sugar and blah, blah, blah before. I did not eat desserts, right? I went to birthday parties and people would offer me cake and I would say, no, thank you. I was the only one at since I was born, I think, I never had cake. It would be my own birthday and I didn't have cake. Think about that. No cake. Like, what kind of weird kid that was, but whatever. Never had cake. Always said no. Cupcakes, cake, whatever desserts they would have. I'm like, ew, disgusting. Never had it. I never bought sweets or junk food. Never bought chips. Never bought sodas. Never bought like any like snacking stuff. I never bought that. Popcorn, never bought it. Just never. The only sweets that I would have were like rare, high quality, fancy sweets, like a tiramisu when I'm at an Italian restaurant. That's a good one, right? Not the one that tastes like fake and chemically, the one that's really good. A chocolate souffle, again, at a restaurant that knew how to do it with real ingredients that didn't taste fake and chemically. There's no stabilizers making it thick because it's all disgusting. Or a creme brulee, stuff like that. Other than that, I'm not going to have any desserts. Not for me. I never drank anything sweet, right? With the only exception of if I was at a Cuban restaurant and they had a mamey shake, which is just like a fruit called a mamey, and it's a pink fruit, so it's really cute, and milk, and they put a little bit of sugar, and that's it. It's a rare treat. That's all. That's the only time I would have it. The next one was, I was also obsessed with having abs. And every day when I would get home from work, from school, my whole life, whatever, I had this floor to ceiling mirror and I would put on music and I would dance. And then I would do crunches and dance and crunches all the time. And I don't do that anymore because like I have to do things for other people, like mom life bullcrap, right? But when I was alone and nobody else was home, I could do stuff like that without being embarrassed. So now I have to be like, you know what? I think I'm just not going to, if my husband thinks it's weird, if my kid thinks it's weird, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm going to stand in front of the mirror and I'm going to dance and have fun and live my life. I'm going to enjoy my life because it's really enjoyable to be fit. You guys, you got to try it. It's the best. All right. The next one was I would always challenge people to race. I loved running. I was in like a run club. So I would get the runner's high. So it was kind of like the best feeling ever. When you run a lot and you get really good at it, it gives you like a high. Like, I can't describe it. Like a joyful high, not like a downer high of like marijuana or something stupid. Not like alcohol where you act like an idiot. No, it gives you like a joyful high when you run. It's unlike anything else. Anyways, so I would constantly challenge people to run. And one thing I did not understand was that you probably shouldn't challenge guys that you have a crush on to run and then beat them in front of other people. So this is probably why in high school I did not have any boyfriends, because every time I liked a guy, I'm like, hey, let's go race. And I think they thought they would beat me, but they didn't beat me. Yeah, probably like a serotonin peak, right? They didn't beat me. And I would kind of, unbeknownst to me, I would humiliate them by beating the crap out of them racing. So there was this big track and we would hang out after school. And there's this kid I liked in one specific instance. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Let's race. I challenge him. I didn't just beat him, I smoked him. And then there was adults that were also running on the track because everybody would do that like to stay healthy. And they would come up to him and be like, oh, she smoked you. And then some old lady be like, oh, she embarrassed you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like laughing and stuff like that. And then of course he didn't want to date me. So oops. Maybe don't do that. But I didn't know any better. And you know what? I was thin. Who cares? I was healthy. Anyways, okay. All right. I also walked a lot. And since I'm very short, all my friends are generally much taller than me. I hung around with like very tall girls, very tall boys, and I'm 5 feet, so I'm very small. One stride for them was like, I don't know, 3 of mine. So I'm walking faster. I'm doing more work over here just to keep up with them. And what would I do? I would go to the mall with them. We would just walk around. We didn't have like money and stuff, so we would just walk around the mall all day. Especially like summers and stuff like that, or on the weekends with my friends, even though we worked, whatever, we would walk maybe 8 hours at the mall, just hanging out. We didn't really buy anything or do anything. We were just loitering, I guess. Anyways, but we walked pretty fast, and I walked even faster because I'm short. And I also ran everywhere. So every time we're like, oh, let's go here, or I'd be like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. You guys wait here for me. I would run to go to the bathroom. Even though like there's no reason. Why am I running? Why am I running? Nobody's chasing me. We don't have a time crunch, but I would just run all the time. Any chance I had. Oh, I have to get to the car. I'm not late for anything, but let me run to the car. Why? I don't know. This is just my whole thing was just like run here, run there. If you have to do something, just do it fast. I don't know. So when I slowed down, having kids is when this stopped, I think, because you can't run away from your baby. That's not a good thing. Now, when they're older, now like you can make them run with you. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Make them run with you. You come chase me. Let's go. Let's try to get to the grocery store fast. Whoever gets there first wins. Make everything a race again. Okay. The next thing was I had this belief that the more work your body could do, the better. So like maybe I didn't have a lot of money or I didn't have a lot of things, but I was in control of myself and my body. And I always felt like if I could work really hard on that, I was in full control of that, then I still had control in this world. All right, some more things. This is kind of long, I guess. All right. If I wanted to eat a sweet, I had to work for it. So what I would do, let's just say like a rare thing, I just feel like having a sweet. Maybe it's before my period or something and I'm weak and I'm like, I just feel like having a little bit of a sweet something. I would get heavy cream, a little bit of sugar, the smallest amount that I could, that it still had a little sweetness, but not too much. And whatever, chocolate, and I would whip it with a fork. And to whip something into a mousse with a fork is very time intensive. So it could be like 30 minutes I'm doing this. My wrist is hurting in pain, and then I switch, you're just doing that for a while. So you have to work to do something that has sugar. I would do that. The next is for sweets. Most of the time, if I wanted a sweet, I would go for blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. These 3 fruits, I never had a limit. Get a big one, eat the whole thing in one sitting. No limit. Never had any issues with that. Never got overweight from that. Never got any problem from that. Never felt sleepy. If you have like a dessert with a lot of sugar, you could get sleepy from the hypoglycemia. Never had that problem from real fresh berries. One thing that my dad did for me that I didn't realize until I moved out was that he would give me liver once a month after my period. And liver is so full of vitamins and nutrients that are bioavailable. So he was probably secretly like keep me alive. All right. And the other thing was I ate whatever I wanted when I was out with my friends. But still did not include sweets. So I never wanted sweets. But whatever savory food that I wanted to eat when I was out with my friends, I would eat it. So because I was eating so little during the week, and they only saw me like during the weekends or like the rare birthday parties or whatever, they thought like this is how I ate all the time. So they would get really jealous and angry, like, your metabolism is too high. This is not fair. But in reality, I was hardly eating during the week. I was very sparse and I was exercising so much, not having a car, just how my habits were. I had a class that was like, I don't know, 8 stories high building, and I would take the stairs 2 at a time, 2 steps at a time, remember? And obviously I would be sweating when I got to class. So obviously that's working out, blah blah blah. Anyways, so when I'm with my friends at a restaurant, I would eat whatever I wanted, but I never had dessert. So they had the impression that I was just like eating a lot all the time. Anyways, I really enjoyed eating savory foods. So my favorite go-to when I'm at a restaurant was filet mignon, rice, black beans, chicken, right? It's not even unhealthy. It's just normal basic foods. And this was what I loved. The worst food that I ate would be spaghetti. And once I removed spaghetti and tomatoes in general, my skin cleared. So, damn, wish I knew that. Wish I knew about that. But it is what it is. Nightshades will get you. I would also eat an entire loaf of bread, probably once or twice a week, right? So my dad would go get me a sourdough loaf of bread. This was before all the chemicals were added to the sourdough, chillax, when it was real sourdough and mold. I still remember. There was a time you could go and get real food at the grocery store. I know. I would just eat the middle of the entire loaf of bread, the soft part, and that's it. Once a week. And my dad would literally get me a loaf of bread knowing that I would do that. He would also get me a Cuban loaf of bread because they would come like fresh made hot. So it'd be like kind of like a baguette, but it's like very, very soft inside and like crunchy on the outside. And I'd put my whole arm in it, like a sleeve of like whatever, and suck all like the good soft dough out. And still was super thin. So it is what it is. Let's see. For like if I did want a snack, I didn't have things like chips and ice creams or yogurt or whatever the hell like Americans eat for snacks. I didn't have that. So what we ate for snacks was I'd have a piece of the sourdough, some yogurt that my dad would make, not the store bought, because that's all junk. And there was a spice called za'atar. So it had, I don't remember. It's like, look it up, za'atar. Zaatar. And I know it had like Persian sumac in it, which is like a tart spice that's delicious and healthy for you. And some other stuff. And I would just dip that and I would just eat that. And perfectly fine. All right. Some more bad habits. I didn't have much protein, except the rare time that my dad would give me liver or something like that. So I would probably eat more protein now if I could go back, even then. I also didn't have much omega-3s. This is not good because when you're young, you can kind of get away with not having omega-3s, but then once you get older, you get more inflammation. So you really have to make sure you take omega-3s. I take Monopure now, supplements, whatever. Yes, I know. Isn't that interesting? Wow. Yes, this is me in 1882. Anyways, and I didn't have magnesium even when I was thin. I did eat occasionally fast food. We would have, I would eat, what's it called? A chicken gordita Baja, like every day. A Baja chicken gordita. If you know, you know. It was my go-to. That was 90% bread and 90% sauce. I don't know how the proportions added to that, but it did. That's not good. That was not even food. Anyway, so I would eat that. I never took any supplements. I was using toxic products when I was younger. Not good. I didn't detox. I was barely getting any minerals. I somehow, the only reason why I was alive was because of the liver my dad gave me once a month. That's it. I didn't have butter. I would eat margarine. Terrible for you. Complete garbage. Let's see. I had a lot of toxic people around me too. I was too nice. Now I'm a raging bitch and it's so much healthier. Anyways, and I would eat bad oils because generally going out to eat. Anyways, so I will tell you guys more about what I have done. So make sure you like, subscribe, blah, 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 and continue hanging out. As far as an update goes for my weight loss challenge, I am taking this week off because it is spring break and we are, as a family, going to restaurants and cafes. So I cannot maintain my whole spiel on vacations. And I don't think anyone should. But we'll get back to it and it'll be good. He's fine. Anyways, so, but before spring break, I wrote this down so you guys can keep me accountable and see what I've been doing. So I'm down 2 pounds, which is not bad for 2 weeks. No problems going to sleep. I would like to thank my adrenal support supplement for that. That was a huge helping me sleep. So the normal dose is 4 pills a day. I only take 2 pills in the morning. And even with just that amount, it's enough that I sleep perfect. Now, my supplements, I have no problem taking them for breakfast in the daytime. My problems are forgetting to take them with dinner. So I'm still working on that so that I can detox more. I am doing great with the sauna and the Epsom salt bath. I'm doing more than I need. So that's good. The working out was very hard the first week, but since it's only 15 minutes, I could do it. And by the second week, I didn't do anything because I had my period. I could barely do anything, but I still continued walking and doing all the supplements and all that stuff and the food and everything. Period was excellent. I didn't have any cramps or anything. I was a little tired. But other than that, for someone who was diagnosed in the past with endometriosis, which is, if you look it up, like terrible, I didn't have any problems. So that's pretty good. All right. Thank you guys for looking at that. Oh, actually, I do want to show you guys this as a reminder for what I'm doing. This is my goals, right? I want to be super hot and snatched and thin. And this is how I'm going to get there. I'm going to work out a lot. Not a lot, like how I said. And then this is me at 70 and my husband. He got really mad. He's like, why is my head on an Asian man's body? Well, I couldn't find someone who had a lot of chest hairs. I'm sorry. This is what the AI gave me. Anyways, so this is my projection for when I am even older, in my 70s. And this is what I want like him to look like in his 70s. Yes. So this is us in our 70s, old, still hot, rich, and with tons of cats, because this is the goal. So this is like a 70-year-old cat. We're going to make this happen. Anyway, so this is okay, I have changed some of my goals. I was going to be 105 pounds. I've decided to change that. I want to be 100 pounds. All right. We're going for the gold. June 2026, maybe. I don't know. I want to do it a little bit sooner, but we'll see. Sleep 9 hours. I'm trying to do more because I know the more I sleep, the thinner I get. So protein, I'm trying that. Cloud bread, I have given up on that. It tastes like absolute ass. I do not want it. The gelatin, I have also given up on that. I don't need that. Sardines, they have high histamines, so I've stopped doing that. I am taking the supplements. I'm not counting my steps. I'm counting my time walking. So I forgot. The bar is so expensive to do those classes, was like $500 a month. I don't know who these rich bitches are, but what the hell? Set alarm to work out. No, that will raise my cortisol, so I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing a specific amount of protein grams. I'm doing, I think it's like 5 ounces twice a day, which is probably not as much. Okay, so this is the, here we go. Okay, so this is my weight loss routine. All right. Satan was an angel. Beautiful. Yes, he is. I will forever talk about periods. Jeez. Okay. All right. So this is my morning routine. I take my thyroid supplements and what's it called? This, which is to hydrate you. I mentioned this before. It's electrolyte thing. It's got no fillers, no gunk. You can get this. It's sodium, potassium, magnesium in the right amounts. You can get that in the dispensary below. So I take L-carnitine because it's good for fat burning and energy. So I take that. That is this L-carnitine, right? I did not write it, but I also take like a maca supplement for like hormone balance, but whatever. I take that with the L-carnitine. And then rebounding, 5 minutes. I just jump because I don't like to get the freaking trampoline out. And jumping is better because it works your bones too. Build strong bones. And then for breakfast, 5 ounces of protein. I got rid of the butter and the tallow because I wanted to put milk in my latte. So in order to get the right fat amounts, I had to get rid of the butter. So I just put literally the meat in the toaster oven for 20 minutes, flip it halfway through, whatever, no butter. And it's fine. Look, is this delicious? No, this is food. I'm just trying to survive. And I add brown sugar, Ceylon cinnamon, and inositol to help with blood sugar, all that stuff. And then my supplements, I just take 2 capsules of the adrenal, which is to lower my adrenals, to like relax me, to chill me out, for my cortisol, for all that stuff, chill. And then to detox estrogen, we got calcium D-glucarate. And dudes, if you're developing breast tissue from drinking beer, which you should never do, it's super estrogenic, you should take this too. And I also take DIM to convert estrogen to safer, non-toxic, non-C word causing estrogens. And because I have histamine problems, I take quercetin. And then my omega-3s to reduce inflammation, metabolism, good skin, all that stuff. And then movement. So another 5 minutes, jumping up and down, right? We're jumping up and down. I also did not include this, but when I make my coffee, I do 40 squats to get a coffee. Yes. Incorporated. And then afternoon, more electrolytes. These are some other brands that were suggested, but I like mine better. I think this one is better because those have fillers. Anyways, then coronium picolinate is really good. Before I have dinner, I take it, and this will enhance your insulin sensitivity and fat loss. I'm having trouble remembering this one, but when I do, you definitely feel a difference. Then after I eat, 3 times a week, I do 15-minute training, body weight, resistance bands, small weights, sometimes like little dumbbells, right? And then for dinner, 68 ounces of whatever protein. I put beets, or I haven't done sweet potatoes actually. I do usually beets or broccoli or asparagus or artichokes. Those are my go-tos. And only 1 tablespoon butter or tallow for like the whole dinner. Yes. Anyways. And then my supplements that I take with dinner are the TUDCA to support bile flow and fat digestion, ox bile, fat digestion, hormone clearance, probiotic. It's a spore-based probiotic that's good for gut and histamine support. And then afterwards, 45 to 60 minutes post-dinner walk. Boom. And then I start my detox, right? This is, I did not put it in here, but it starts off with sauna. So 30 minutes to an hour if I have more time of just sauna. And then I do a hose down, and then I get my Epsom salt bath, at least 20 minutes. And I haven't been doing this, but I need to start doing this. Castor oil packs over the liver. This will help with liver function and detoxing extra estrogen. And then magnesium glycinate for sleep and metabolism, L-theanine to relax, lower stress, lower mast cells, curcumin. I haven't been taking that one. I need to take that one. That's supposed to help with hormones, anti-inflammatory, skin support, blah, blah. And then more quercetin to lower histamines. And then, 2 days a week, I do charcoal. It's an activated charcoal. I don't know what brand it is, but just look up any activated charcoal. And I take that without I do not take that day my nighttime vitamins. I only take activated charcoal right before bed and away from food, because whatever you take with it won't get processed, digested well. So don't take anything with it. Take it by itself. And this will help detox anything like bad in the body. It just kind of like picks it out, especially excess hormones, any toxins, any parasites, any byproduct of any poisons, whatever you've had. I don't know what the hell's in there. And remember, poisons get stuck in your fat cells. So while you lose weight, you released the toxins that were encapsulated in your fat cells. All right, these are my macros, but if you put your information to ChatGPT, it will work out your macros. It's amazing. So 40% protein, 40% fat, 20% carbs. All right. And I even broke down the exact milliliters of half and half that I put in my coffee. I know. And right. Okay. So it worked out my fat loss timeline. Guys, this is so freaking amazing. So week 1 to 2, reduce bloating, better digestion, improve your energy. Week 3 to 4, water retention begins to decrease. Fat loss begins. And that's when you should lose 2 to 3 pounds, right? Now, the first 2 weeks, I lost 2 pounds. So that was pretty good. And then week 5 to 8, that's when you finally visibly can find some fat loss, right? And this is what it says is going to happen. I didn't write that. That's what they said. And then week 9 to 12, I'm going to reach my goal, balance my hormones, improve the metabolism. All right, here's a little summary of everything I'm doing. All right, and that's pretty much it. So you guys get ChatGPT so you guys can have this journey with me. If you guys want to get big and buff and bulky, you can put all your goals in order of importance into the ChatGPT, all of your health markers into ChatGPT, all of your labs into ChatGPT. Before you even hit enter, put everything. You can even make a big document file of all of this stuff and what you want it to do, and then put that into the ChatGPT, right? So that you're not going back and forth, because you don't want to pay for ChatGPT. We want the free one. And that means you don't have a lot of back and forth. So do one huge, 40-page prompt, whatever you need to do. Everything, all your information, put that in there, all your goals in order of importance. Send it in, and ba-bam. Now we got our to-do list, the supplements we need. Exactly. You need to even put in for supplement suggestions in the prompt, milligrams, times a day, whatever. You have to really be specific on how you want it to give you your timeline of the day, your protocol, right? So anyways, that is what we are doing, and things are going well. I hope you guys enjoyed this and that this is helpful so that you guys can come up with your own and continue to follow along with me. And if you have any questions on like what should I include in the prompts or whatever it is, get to the Discord. You can message me there and I can help you out. I did not know Instagram had a chat GPT. Interesting. Anyways, guys, thank you all for being here. Like, subscribe, follow, share, all the things. If you are on X, make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on X, whatever. And message me so I can follow you back. Thank you all for being here, and bye. Have a great rest of your day.
Start the revolution, let the truth begin. Wake up, defeating lies, control the media.